Hello, my name is Emily Hargrove, and I am NSSGA's Director of Occupational Safety and Health. I'm the host of the podcast Safety Shorts. Each episode will just be 3 to 5 minutes long, hopefully the perfect bite-sized portion so you always have time for an episode. Whether it's tuning in for a toolbox talk or just tuning in to see what's new and reflect on safety. From this series, you can expect to hear safety tips, learn about new ideas, and most of all, listen to safety stories from our industry guests and hear about their lessons learned. Hello, I'm Emily Hargrove, Director of Occupational Health and Safety for NSSGA. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Safety Shorts. Today, we're exploring an important intersection that doesn't always get the spotlight it deserves, the connection between sustainability and workplace safety. Joining me for this conversation is my colleague, Kyle Brashear, NSSGA's Director of Sustainability. Kyle, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Emily. It's a pleasure to join you today, and I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about the role a safe workplace environment plays in sustainability.
So let's start with the big picture. How would you describe the connection between sustainability and workplace safety?
When I talk about sustainability, I often like to start with one of the original definitions of the term: meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I think it's hard not to consider the safety of our workforce as being an essential component for the aggregate industry to not only meet our current production demands, but to meet future demands, while also ensuring future generations are entering a workplace environment inherently with less hazards than those previously experienced by previous generations. While in recent years, there's an emphasis and a focus on the environmental component of sustainability, I think it's also important that we take a step back and remember that there's two other areas of sustainability that we like to focus on, and those are the economic and social components. And when we think about social sustainability, I think it's very difficult not to consider safety as probably the most critical area of focus in the aggregate industry.
That's a great point, and it leads directly to the next question I had for you. How do you think the concept of social sustainability evolved to include worker health and safety? And are there any other concerns that would be connected with this idea?
When it comes to safety and health and social sustainability, we're very fortunate that safety has been one of the most common and historically important metrics used to evaluate the aggregate facility. So as social sustainability has become a little bit more prominent in the industry, we already have a lot of those metrics in place. Some of the other areas of concern or focus when we talk about social sustainability are things like community relations and workforce development and retention. As you can imagine, an operator that participates in a world-class safety culture also gets the benefits of attracting high-quality workforce talent and having that social license to operate in the local community. So in a very real sense, safety can tackle numerous components of social sustainability.
Building on that, let's shift from the why to the how. How do you think sustainable technology or processes could improve worker safety and vice versa?
So sustainable technology could be considered a new piece of equipment or an improved process that allows an operation to produce our aggregate materials while positively impacting some of the environmental, economic, or social metrics we use to measure sustainability. If we look at things like the automation of aggregate plants or the implementation of autonomous fleets, a lot of these innovations and technologies manage to address all three areas of sustainability. Automated plants can produce more efficiently with less downtime, which not only increases profits at facilities, but reduces excess emissions, helping the environmental component of sustainability. These automated plants also limit the potential exposure to ground personnel around material haulage and processing equipment, adding additional safety benefits from those technologies.
Could you expand a bit more on how autonomous fleets could be considered an improvement to both sustainability and worker safety?
Autonomous mobile fleets have been around other mining sectors for well over a decade, but only have recently entered the aggregate space. These self-driving haul trucks not only remove the environmental hazards of drivers, but also provides operations with increased telematics and analytical information to improve the productivity and lower the emissions of these vehicles. Equipment that gets these type of optimizations from the autonomous technologies that have been installed in them, they don't really have the inherent human error that your traditional mobile fleet has. And that gives the benefits of less downtime and less maintenance activities on that equipment. And if you think about maintenance activities, that's also potentially removing a hazard that mechanics and other technicians will have to experience as they have to maintain these vehicles. Autonomous vehicles are kind of like a big step in innovation there. So I always like to think of things as being a little circular, that maybe implementing these technologies isn't the first step, but an operation that can increase worker safety at these facilities will allow facilities to gain more economic and social capital. And as that capital increases, maybe it gets to a point where implementing these sustainable technologies becomes a possibility, and that cycle can continue to build on itself.
From embracing new technologies to fostering a culture of safety, I think the aggregate industry is really demonstrating that these goals don't need to compete. They can reinforce each other. So, Kyle, thank you so much for sharing your insights on this. And thank you to all of our listeners. Till next time, stay safe.